everybody, Infinite Shinjo here, and welcome to a new series on this channel that I am going to call Let's Talk Anime. So, as of recently, I've been watching a lot of anime in my spare time, and throughout the course of being on YouTube, people have asked me my thoughts on different things involving anime. And while I initially rejected any sort of idea of that with making separate videos for stuff like that, I figure that a series like this would allow me to discuss any news that fits into those categories, as well as suggest anime for my viewers that I've watched that you may not have watched yet. So the rules for me talking about a certain anime in videos like this are very broad. Anything at all involving any sort of anime is allowed to be included in any sort of these videos. Examples of this are a discussion on a show as a whole, discussion on a series returning or ending, or my thoughts on a series that I have no experience with that I just watched the first couple of episodes about and then give my initial reaction to it. And of course, with any series, I'm open to any suggestions of any ideas that you guys might have for stuff that I can talk about involving anime. And basically put, just being flat out with this, I'm gonna try this for an episode, and if it doesn't really seem to get much feedback, then I'll just stop it. But the plan for this series right now is for me to cover 2 to 3 different anime in each video. So, covering the biggest elephant in the room, and the reason that I decided to start this series is Dragon Ball Super ending. Now, in case you don't know what I'm talking about a month ago now, news floated around on the internet about Dragon Ball Super concluding after the Tournament of Power arc, which is currently going on right now. And as far as I've seen right now, it just seems like everybody is seemingly going crazy over nothing, because I haven't really found concrete evidence about Dragon Ball Super ending. I did search online a little bit this morning, and I did see a site, Wikipedia actually, that mentioned that Amazon Japan's Blu-ray set shows that the series will end on episode 131, but if you know anything about Wikipedia, people can edit that even if it's not true, so who knows? That could be true, that might not be true, but I'm gonna hold out anything to say about that until there's more evidence that does show up. And if Dragon Ball Super is ending, it is sad that it would end, because I only just got started with it with the Tournament of Power arc, and I went back to watch the Goku Black arc, but realistically, everything does come to an end eventually. And while there may be those people that just aren't accepting of it, it does have to happen. And more importantly, there are different incarnations of Dragon Ball to watch. There's the original Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, which I know nobody wants to talk about. But regardless, there are different Dragon Ball spin-offs, I guess to call it, that can be still watched. And there is a movie that's going to be coming out at the end of the year. Now, I'm not sure if they've mentioned what the movie is going to be about, or they're just saving that until a little bit later into the year, but I feel like it'd be better for them to save their animation budget and put a lot more of it into the movie rather than put all of it into the Tournament of Power arc and then have nothing to use for when the movie comes out. Because while I didn't start watching Dragon Ball at the very beginning, I know that fans were outraged after the bad animation that was within the first 15, 20, maybe so episodes of Dragon Ball Super. And I guess on the other side, if the movie that comes out at the end of the year is received well, they might decide to bring back Dragon Ball Super for another series later on. So, wrapping up today's episode of Let's Talk Anime, I am going to suggest to any viewers an anime to watch. And today's anime that is in the spotlight is School Live, or as it's known in Japanese, Gakkou Gurashi. Now, what I'm going to do going forward with an anime that I suggest to you, I'm going to give a brief overview of the plot, and if that sounds interesting to you, then I would encourage you to watch the series in its fullest, because any show that I suggest on this series, I am going to make sure that I watch it in its entirety first before I suggest it to my viewers. But going back to Gakkou Gurashi, the plot of it is there are a group of girls that create a club at their school, which, strangely enough, is called the School Living Club. The main characters are Yuki, Kurumi, Yuri, Miki, and Megumi. Obviously I didn't include their full names, but those are just the easiest way to go by it rather than including their full name. The opening song in episode 1 presents it as a simple slice of life anime. And while I'm not going to spoil the entire plot of the show, I will say there is more to it than that simple slice of life style that it presents in the first part of the episode. And again, I'm not going to spoil everything that happens in the show, but all I will say is watch until the very end of the first episode, and then if you're not at least a little interested after that, then you don't have to watch any more of it. One interesting thing about Gakkou Gurashi's opening song is that the intro song does change over time to reflect the changes that happen in the show as they're brought up. And that I find very interesting, because I haven't watched many anime that do that with their opening song that changes it halfway through, other than Pokemon. I can imagine that there are anime that change things in the opening song as they change in the show, besides this and Pokemon, but I can't remember them off the top of my head, so if there is one, I'm sure that you'll let me know down in the comment section. But yeah, overall, Gakkou Gurashi shows itself as a slice of life in the first episode, but it changes, well, not drastically, it does have a lot of interesting twists, at least in my opinion. So that covers episode 1 of Let's Talk Anime. Hopefully there will be an episode 2 if there's support enough for it, and if not, that's fine. Hopefully through this video, I have at least convinced one person to watch Gakkou Gurashi, because while it's not something I would think that I would like, I did end up liking it after a while. But that's going to conclude episode 1 of this series. If you enjoyed, do not forget to mock punch that like button down below and subscribe so you don't miss any of my other videos. And again, feel free to comment down below any suggestions for anything anime that I can talk about on this series, and I will see you in the next episode. Have an awesome day, everybody.